Hine ma tovu manahim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manahim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Hine ma tovu manahim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manahim, shevet achim gam yachad. How wonderful it is for us to be together in this very unusual way, in this very unusual times. Wherever you are, we welcome you this morning to Congregation Shir Shalom. We especially want to welcome the members of Holloway Memorial Chapel, just over the border of Buffalo in Canada, over the Peace Bridge. We really welcome you. We wish that we could be together in person in your beautiful chapel, and if anyone has not visited it before, we encourage you to. It's a very long-standing community across the border, full of wonderful people, and I am blessed to have been leading services there once a summer for the past 4 years or so. They've really come into my heart, and we really welcome you here. So this morning is very, very unusual. Unusual because here at Shir Shalom, we don't normally have Sunday morning services with the exception of holidays. And unusual because for many members of the Holloway Memorial Chapel community, you've never set forth in the synagogue likely before, or only a few times. So this is an opportunity to really get to know who we are. Sunday is a normal day of the week for us. The Sabbath was on Friday and Saturday, and so you get a chance to really see what life is like and what prayers are like, and I hope that you will learn and grow. And if you have questions, please feel free to write or email or however you'd like to get in touch with me. I'm Rabbi Alex Lazarus-Klein, and I've been the rabbi here for 12 years, 8 years here at Congregation Shir Shalom since we began in 2012. So I do have a number of announcements that were given to me by your wonderful Sarah Pichter. I'm grateful to be friends with her and to have known her father and her family. And wherever you are, Sarah, I send out a shout of shalom to you. So it is customary at the chapel to mention a few names in our prayers for world leaders before we begin. Elizabeth, the Queen of England; Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada; Donald Trump, the President of the United States; and Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the United Nations. May our prayers be with them and all the leadership of our countries and world, especially during this pandemic. We also, I will announce this later, but next week, I think, is the final service at the Holloway Memorial Chapel, final virtual service, and that will be September 6th. Reverend Charlie Bang will be leading that, and we look forward to listening to his words of wisdom and for him leading us in prayers. So as we begin, I am going to get myself set. We have, as custom in the Jewish world, on a regular week to bear talis and tefillin, the prayer shawl that we wear most services, but also the tefillin, which has the words of the Shema, our sacred text that we'll actually read later in the services from the Torah. This is my tefillin that was given to me at my bar mitzvah. And I'm taking off my jacket because it requires that. We put the tefillin on our weaker arm. In this case, it's my left arm. And before I do it, I'll say the blessing for our talit as well. And this is the talit, the prayer shawl my wife, Shira, gave to me when we were engaged. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu lihitatef bat tzitzit. I'm going to take out the pieces of the tefillin that I'll put on, which is binding the words of the Shema, our holiest text, on both my arm and also between my eyes, as it says in Deuteronomy. Actually, in the book of Numbers. I'll be using this morning a book that you probably can't get a hold of, but this is the Kol and Shema, the Reconstructionist Daily Prayer Book. And it's not one we have a chance to use very often. Usually, once a summer, I will be using it. I use it at our camp facility in the Pocono Mountains, and so this is a rare gift to be able to do it. So we begin first with our arms, and I'll say the blessing for this. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahaniach tefillin. Blessed are you, God, King of the universe, who sanctifies us with your commandments and commands us to wrap the tefillin. We put the box, which has the sacred words on it, we affix it to our arm. And then we wrap it 7 times. 7 is the holiest of numbers. We wrap it 7 times around our arm. Next, we take the box for our forehead, and I'll say the blessing for that as well. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvat tefillin. Next, we go back to our hand, and we actually put Shaddai, one of the names of God, on our hand directly. And we talk about marrying ourselves to God. Arishticha Elohim, may we wrap me in kindness, wrap me in love, and justice and compassion. May I be connected to the fount of life, our God. Okay, and with that, and you can see, this is the shin and the daled and the yud on my fingers. And now, with that, we're ready to pray. And hold on just one second. I had gotten a buzz here. Just want to make sure that we are connected. So we are going to begin with our morning blessings. These are the prayers that we say in the morning as we prepare ourselves. And traditionally, they're actually said by the bedside, all the things that we already are blessed for. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu cheolamim, hanoten l'sek b'binah, l'havchim ben yom u'ben laila. Blessed are you, God, who gives the burn of dawn discernment to tell from night, day from night. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu cheolam amim, who stretches forth the earth upon the waters. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu cheolamim, who makes the blind to see. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu cheolamim, who clothes the naked. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu cheolamim, who makes the captive free. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu cheolamim, who raises up the humble. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu cheolamim, who makes firm a person's steps. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu cheolamim, who acts for all my needs. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu cheolamim, who girds Israel with strength. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu cheolamim, who crowns Israel with splendor. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu cheolamim, who made me in your image. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Cheolamim, who made me free. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Cheolamim, who made me of the people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Cheolamim, who gives strength to the weary. And next we take time to praise both our bodies and our souls, our bodies for functioning correctly, and our souls for always being pure and light and giving us the ability to be present. Blessed are you, the architect, our God, the sovereign of all worlds, who shaped the human being with wisdom, making for us all the openings and vessels of the body. It is revealed and known before your throne of glory that if one of these passageways be open when it should be closed, or blocked up when it should be free, one could not stay alive or stand before you. Blessed are you, miraculous, the wondrous healer of all flesh. And our prayer for our souls, as we sing this, as I sing this for you, think of your soul pure and light inside of you. It never ages. It's always eternal. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. My God, the soul you gave to me is pure. You have created it, you shaped it, and you breathed it into me, and you preserve it deep inside of me, and someday you will take it from me, restoring it to everlasting life. As long as spirit breathes in me, I offer thanks before you, breath divine, my God, God of my ancestors, the master of all deeds, source of every life. Blessed are you, the Holy Spirit, in whose possession is the breath of every living thing, the animation of all flesh. We'll turn to the section of the service we call Pesukei de Zimra, the Psalms of Praise. Psalms, just like in the Christian world, are really a central piece of our prayers. And we turn to them as we warm up and prepare for our central prayers a little bit later on. And this is the opening prayer of this section called Pesukei de Zimra, and this is Baruch Shamar. Blessed are you, God, who spoke, and the world was created. Baruch Shamar v'haya olam. Baruch hu, Baruch oseh v'reshit. Baruch Shemo, Baruch Omer ve'oseh, Baruch hu, Baruch ozer u'mekayem, Baruch Shemo, Baruch merachem al haaretz, Baruch hu, Baruch merachem al habriot, Baruch Shemo, Baruch Mishalem Sachar Tov L'Rehav, Baruch hu, Baruch Mavir Afela Umevi Ora, Baruch Shemo, Baruch Halad V'Kayam LaNetzach, Baruch hu, Baruch Pohodeh Umatzil, Baruch hu, Baruch Shemo. Blessed are you, the everlasting one, our God, the sovereign of all worlds, divine one, who gave birth to all, the merciful subject of praise upon people's mouths, lauded and glorified upon the tongues of all those who love and serve you, and through these the song sung by your servant David. May we hail you, source of being. With praise, with melodies, we celebrate your greatness. We praise you, glorify you, call to mind your name, and crown you as our sovereign, God of ours, the only one, living one throughout all worlds, the one who reigns, lauded and glorified unto the end of time, whose name is ever great. Blessed are you, the one, the sovereign, hailed in songs of praise. I'd like to read now a poem that I was reminded of, especially in the crossing of the border. This is one of my earliest reflections coming to Buffalo about Niagara Falls. And this the strange waterfall that it is that really bridges the gap between people on both sides of the border. Niagara Falls. Just before the waterfall, the river moves steadily, if somewhat subdued. Only by turning your head and moving a few feet to the left can you see the majesty of descent and the utter amazement the water must feel when it finally rolls over the edge. Beside me, the tourists seem to waddle lethargically in the early afternoon heat, their hands pressed against digital cameras and the palms of children. But as they approach the overlook, voices giddy with excitement, competing against the roar of the falls, they are suddenly rushing, jostling to get the best view. How true that is about life. Like the river, we often do not know where we are headed and tumble awkwardly in a downward direction. At the bottom, the water smooths itself out like a piece of cloth, and beyond the mass of white foam and mist, the only sound, a boat full of tourists snapping pictures, their necks craned skyward, looking up at the people leaning on railings above the falls. It's traditional to turn to Psalms, and we're going to turn to the final of the Psalms, Psalm 150. And I'm just going to sing that last refrain. Let all of our breath, all that we are, all of our souls, praise God. Kol ha-nishama te-ha-alleluia. Hallelujah. Kol ha-nishama te-ha-alleluia. Hallelujah. I'll read the words of my bar mitzvah rabbi, who spoke about how the world is transformed as soon as we open our eyes. Every morning, the world is created under the orange sticks of the sun, and heaped ashes of the night turn into leaves again, and fasten themselves into the high branches, and the ponds appear like black cloth, on which are painted islands of summer lilies. If it is your nature to be happy, you will swim away along the soft trails, for hours your imagination alighting everywhere. If your spirit carries with it the thorn that is heavier than lead, if it's all you can do to keep on trudging, there it is still somewhere deep within you, a beast shouting the earth is exactly what it wanted. Each pond with its blazing lilies is a prayer heard and answered lavishly every morning, whether or not you have ever dared to be happy, whether or not you have ever dared to pray. Of course, that's not my bar mitzvah rabbi, but Mary Oliver. I'll find the other reading that I was intending later. So at this point, it's customary, wherever you are, we have a virtual minyan in front of me. By the way, just to let you know where we are, I have pictures of all our congregants. It's a wonderful reminder of the quorum we normally would have, especially at a place like Holiday Memorial Chapel. And behind me, I have our ark containing our sacred texts. Beside me, the Torah that we will read a little bit later. So we call all of you, if you are able, to rise for the call of community, the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamivorach. Baruch Adonai havorach leolam vahed. Blessed are you, the infinite, blessed one. Blessed is the infinite, blessed one, now and forever. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or avrei choshech, oseh shalom avrei etakol. Blessed are you, God, who is with us at all times, times of light and dark, anytime we need. We're so blessed to be in this holy world of yours. And now I will read the poem from my bar mitzvah rabbi, Sheila Peltz-Weinberg. Every day creation is renewed. Wake up and see unfolding in the spreading lights of dawn. The world and all it contains coming into being, new, fresh, filled with divine goodness and love. Every day creation is renewed. Reflected on the great lights, we see a new day, one precious day, eternity. And we now turn to the words of the Shema. text that's in my tefillin and is central in our mezuzahs and many other places. I'm going to bring together the strands of the tzitzit, the strands of my prayer shawl, symbolically bringing together all parts of this world, all the disparate elements that we wish. Think about all the relatives and people out there that we hope to hold together and gather in a new gathering after the pandemic is over. And I close my eyes, focusing on the prayer. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Blessed be the name and the glory of God's realm forever. And you must love the one, your God, with all your heart, with every breath, with all you have. Take these words that I command you now to heart. Teach them intently to your children. Speak them when you sit inside your house or walk upon the road, when you lie down, when you rise, and bind them as a sign upon your hand. Keep them visible before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. And from the final paragraph of the Shema, the words about the tzitzit themselves. The Boundless One told Moses, "Speak to the Israelites, tell them to make themselves tzitzit upon the corners of their clothes throughout their generations. Have them place upon the tzitzit a twine of royal blue. This is your tzitzit. Look at them and remember all the mitzvot of the Eternal One, and do them, so you won't go after the lusts of your heart or after what catches your eye. So you'll remember to do all my mitzvot and be holy to you for your God. I am the faithful one, your God, who brought you from Mitzrayim to be you, for you a God. I am the infinite, your God." We turn now to other words of the Torah from the crossing of the sea as we celebrate the amazement, awe-inspiring acts in our world. Think about things that you have crossed over and you didn't expect to. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nehedar ba'kodesh, no ratehilot osefele, no ratehilot osefele, shira chadasha, shibchu geulim, Leshimcha al sfatayam, yachad kulam, hodu v'himlechu, ve'amru, Adonai yimloch, Adonai yimloch, leolam va'ed. Sor Yisrael, kuma be'ezrat Yisrael, uvdei knumecha, Yehuda ve'Yisrael. Go aleinu, Adonai Svaot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. If you're not already doing so, we stand for the standing prayer. I apologize, I can't see if you're sitting or standing, so hope I didn't make you stand too long. But we approach the living God with our prayers like we would a king, taking 3 steps forwards, 3 steps backwards, 3 steps forwards. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Open my lips, beloved one, let my mouth declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Anorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'zocher chastei avot v'imot, u'mevi gula livnei v'nehem, leman shemo b'yahava, melech ozer u'moshia u'magen. Baruch atah Adonai, magen Abraham v'yezrat Sarah, Ata gibor leolam Adonai, Rab lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye kol chai berachamim rabim. Sohomek noflim verofech holim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michal mocha bal gevurot, Umido melach, Melech me'it u'mechaye, U'matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'aman ata l'chayot kol chai, Baruch ata Adonai, Mechaye kol chai. We turn to the words of the Kedusha with our symbolic minyan quorum. You may be familiar. These are the words from Ezekiel, where the angels cry out to God. We put our feet together as if we are an angel. Angels were known for having one foot. Nikadesh shemcha b'olam kishem shemakdishim oto b'shmei marom kakatuv v'yad v'yecha v'karazel zev yamar. Holy, holy is the ruler of multitudes of heaven. All the world is filled with divine glory. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Sfod, Melech kol haaretz kavodo, L'matam baruch yumeru. Blessed is the glory of the Holy One, wherever God may dwell. Baruch kavod Adonai mimkomo, u'divrei kodshecha katuv le'mor. May the Eternal reign forever, and may God, O Zion, from generation to the next. Hallelujah. Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Xion, Lador Vador, Hallelujah. Lador Vador Nagid God Lachal Netzach Netzachim Kedushatach Nakdish, B'Shivachal Elohinu Mipinu Lo Yamush Le'olam Vad, Kielmel Gadol V'Kadosh Ata, Baruch Ata Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Blessed are you, God, you most holy God. This is the moment where we continue with our 18 benedictions. Think about all the things we have to praise in life during this time. Encourage you to just take a moment. The way that I've been taught to pray is, again, with feet together, swaying, and eyes closed. And this way we can access God in a different way. So just take a moment or two to voice in your heart the most important prayers you have right now. I'd like to send some special prayers to my wife right now, who's really struggling. It's the 18th yard site anniversary of her father, Bob Klein, Robert Klein's passing. And it's never an easy day, so send lots of love her direction. We conclude the Amidah, this most holy prayer, with a prayer for peace. O se shalom bimromav, Hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'himru, amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'al kol yoshvei tevel. May God grant peace to us and to all we love. Another poem I'd like to read that was written during this pandemic about the limitations of our heart. It's called Hearts Expand. What if our hearts could really could expand beyond all natural bounds, break free of rib cage and sternum, of corporeal mass, and show itself like an exposed flesh of cracked eggs, not bland and bittered like that of a cow, but backlit, every artery a raging river against indifference? Would we in such a state be able to hide in any way from our own fears of demise? Would that one we feel most connected to and long to cohabitate with feel less inclined knowing the size of our extremities? Would we not be judged and judge others by what their heart actually adds to the world? Would our enemies not delight knowing how easy it was to prick us each time we turned from them? Would we simply cover our impulses between shirt and coat, concealed even from ourselves what we most desire? Or would we ignore our layers of feeling, the arrhythmic concert of fellow beings, choosing love over hate, acceptance over intolerance, and even if our heart said otherwise, live knowing flesh and blood are just obstacles of the mind, impediments like blankets meant to provide warmth, but in the end, not necessary for warm-blooded animals who roam the world at peace. We're going to turn in just a couple minutes to our Torah, and we're going to have a chance to look directly at the words of our scriptures. I've rolled it to the Shema itself. The Shema is about listening. Hear, O Israel, we say. Listen, listen. A wise teacher, Dr. Saul Wax, once taught me there's a difference between hearing and listening. Hearing is just the act itself of noticing the words. Listening is taking them deep within your soul and really struggling with them and figuring out what they mean. This is the time in the Jewish year that we are training ourselves to listen. And we do so with an instrument that I have over here that we call the shofar, or ram's horn. It actually can come from the horn of any animal that's kosher and that has a gap in it, so it can allow for the noise to go forward. The shofar this year feels different. It's hard to listen. This is a very unusual experience that we're living through, having to communicate with people that I don't know, I can't see, and that may be accessing this recording right now as we speak, as I speak these words, or maybe many millennial later. It's impossible to tell. We live in synchronous and asynchronous time together. So how do we get our attention during this time? How does the sound of the shofar call out to you? How do we hear it? How do we open up our ears to be able to hear? That is really the question. And this shofar, I would love to blow it for you, but I have a confession. I never learned to blow the shofar. And the shofar is different this year because normally to blow the shofar, you have to buzz your lips. As you can see, I'm not very good at that. And it will make a loud sound that could fill this whole room. It's a sound actually that's potentially dangerous during the pandemic if there is anyone in this room with me, because it projects my air throughout the room. And that's something we have to be careful with. You can see my mask here. Just to even walk around the building that I'm in, I have to wear a mask. And to usually, when I lead services, it's with a mask. Everything is muffled. Everything is changed. How do we listen during this time? How do we hear one another? And the answer is we have to work harder. It's much harder to access what we most love. We have to do things that are unusual and hard for us, like for me, the blowing of the shofar. We have to try in whatever way we can to touch our souls to one another, to feel and hear God. It can be so hard to hear God, particularly when we are cut off from one another. It takes that extra leap. I don't know about you, but I see in the faces of other human beings, I see the face of God. What if we can't look at the faces? What if we can't hear those voices? So this morning, as I project out to you my voice, I pray that you can hear. I pray that you can hear me, that you can listen, and that we can listen to one another, that God's voice resounds in whatever religious community, spiritual community you are, and whatever instrument that you use. I hope that you're able to hear long distances from one another and short distances. Let us listen to the deepest recesses of our heart. Let's let them expand. And despite everything going on, let us be able to be there for one another and to experience God in that way. Since it's just me, I will try, though. No, not today. So I'm going to turn over to the Torah right now, and it's open to the section that we'll be reading. The scroll is all handwritten, and it's a bit heavy, but I will read it and maybe try to lift it so you can see. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, B'chol levavcha, u'b'chol nafshecha, u'b'chol miyadecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzvacha hayom al levavecha, v'shinatan levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha v'techa, v'lektecha v'derek shukacha v'kumecha, v'kshartam liot al yadecha, v'hayu l'totafo beinenecha, uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'v'hisharecha. Let me show that to you. You can see the words, even from a distance, of our sacred text. This week we're beginning Kitavo, which is towards the end of Deuteronomy, and I will be rolling it for our bat mitzvah Sarah Lieberman that will be this weekend. We're now going to turn to the concluding prayers of our service. We move to Aleinu. Aleinu is a prayer about doing more in this world and being able to step out of the prayer world to actually make a difference in people's lives. If you aren't standing, I can't remember what direction I gave you, but this is a time that we stand. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol la'tei gedula liotzer breshit shenatan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Every person and people that feel they have something to live for and are bent on living that life in righteousness are true witnesses of God. Kakatu b'toratecha Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom mahu Yeh Adonai Echad, Ushemo Echad. A world of God callers is a world of truth and peace, a world where lust for power, greed, and envy, the idols of pride, is uprooted from the individual and group psyche. Another reading from my bar mitzvah rabbi, Sheila Peltz-Weinberg. It's at this moment that we turn to our mourner's Kaddish. The Mourner's Kaddish is a prayer not about death, it's about life. It's about our connection to God, and we sanctify God's name. And we offer it in memory of people that have left this earth. Wherever you are, whoever you're thinking of, today I'd like to say it in memory of my wife's father, Robert Klein. But please voice your own names that you're thinking of today. The prayer, if you wanted to find it, just Google Mourner's Kaddish transliteration and you'll find it. Excuse me. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah v'yalma divrach hirtei v'yamlik malchutei b'chayachon v'yamachon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael b'galav v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah v'rach le'olam olmei amaya Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudasha b'richu Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata damiran v'yalma v'yimru amen Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen Oseh shalom b'mramav Hu yaseh shalom Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yal kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru amen. May the one who creates harmony above make peace for us and all Israel and all who dwell on earth. And we say, Amen. So it's an absolute pleasure to be with you today. I'm going to make the announcement that I made at the beginning. First of all, welcome to Holloway Memorial Chapel. We're so pleased to have you here with us this morning. And it's a real blessing. You have wonderful leadership in your community, particularly Sarah Pichter and also Joe, who's done a lot of work for this. We send many, many blessings to you and all those involved in the community. And a reminder that next week, Sunday, September 6th, we have Reverend Charlie Bang, who will be leading the Memorial Chapel, Holloway Memorial Chapel services for the final week. And hopefully next year, we will be rejoined. So for a concluding prayer, let's see, there's a special psalm of this time of year, Psalm 27. Let me see. Oh, I think I can do it anyways. Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai ota avachesh. Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai ota avachesh. Shifti b'beit Adonai Kol yemei chayai, lachazot benoam Adonai, ulevachar beveit Adonai, lachazot benoam Adonai, ulevacher beveit Adonai. Oh God, one thing we ask, to sit within your house and be present there during this time of year. So I'm going to take off the implements of the service, my tefillin, and we unwrap it actually the exact same way that we wrapped it, leaving an imprint on our hands. And as well between our eyes. We put it back in our special boxes for this intention. Next, I take off my yad, the hand. It takes a little practice to do it along the way. You learn different techniques. And I'll take off the talus itself. While we have a moment, I will show you a little bit of our room. Just for those of you who've never been here before, on the sides of the room, you may be able to see we have memorial plaques. This room currently is arranged differently than we normally would. This usually goes on what we call the bima, which is the podium over there. And I'll show you inside the ark as well. Over there would be where the cantor would sing from. And she's our musical leader in the Jewish community, Cantor Arlene Frank. And we have organ and piano often. Above the ark over there, you'll see the eternal light, the Ner Tamid. Almost every synagogue will have that as well. You have the menorah, powerful symbol, and you can't see on the side of the room. We also have a broken star for the Holocaust. And let me show you inside the ark so you could see it. And welcome to Shir Shalom. We're really glad for you to have joined us. These are our other two Torahs. And with that, I bid you adieu. Shalom, wherever you are. As you came in peace, may you leave in peace. Take care, and if you have any questions or you ever want to reach me, just look for me at Congregation Shir Shalom in Williamsville, New York.